9 million Americans have left the United States. Let that sink in. If they formed a new state, expat land, it would be bigger than Vermont, Wyoming, and Alaska combined. These aren't tourists. They're citizens who packed up their lives, jobs, families, futures, and said, "I'm done," because something is breaking inside the world's richest nation. For decades, the US sold the world a dream, the idea that hard work could buy you freedom, comfort, and security. But today, millions are realizing that dream has a price tag they can't afford. So why are Americans leaving? It's not politics. It's not just wanderlust. It's because for the first time, life abroad feels easier, and home feels impossible. Let's break it down. The price of staying. You walk into a supermarket with $200 and walk out with 2 bags. That's the new reality. 2 bottles of juice, $9. Coffee, $8.99. Ground beef, $7.67. And bananas, 50 cents each. In just 1 year, grocery prices jumped higher than at any point since 2016. The Consumer Price Index for food has climbed to record highs. People used to joke about the $20 avocado toast. Now, $20 barely buys breakfast. A Tampa resident said, "I make more than ever, but have less money left, because rent, groceries, energy bills, insurance, all rising faster than paychecks." In Tampa, you need to earn $111,000 a year just to live comfortably. That's not luxury, that's survival. And here's the irony: 52% of Americans believe life abroad would be cheaper and better. They're not wrong. In Mexico, Thailand, or Portugal, your dollar stretches twice as far. You can rent a sunny apartment, eat out 3 times a week, and still save. In the US, that same money might barely cover your healthcare premium. The American dream dinner has turned into a joke, a $300 grocery bill. Families are skipping meals. Parents are eating less so their kids can eat more. And it's not just inflation, it's exhaustion. People are realizing that even if they work harder, they're still stuck. But that's just the beginning. Because when food gets expensive, you cut back. When healthcare does, you panic. Healthcare, the most expensive fear. In most countries, getting sick means you rest. In America, it means you worry. Worry about your job, your insurance, and the number on the hospital bill you haven't even received yet. The US spends more on healthcare than any country on Earth, more than $2,500 per person each year. That's double the OECD average. Yet, Americans are among the most likely in the developed world to avoid going to the doctor. Because here, treatment isn't a right, it's a privilege. 51% of Americans have delayed or skipped care due to cost. For families making under $40,000 a year, that number jumps to 63%. One emergency room visit, $3,000. A short hospital stay, $5,000. Ambulance ride, down $200. A man from Texas described it best. In Costa Rica, I asked if I'd get better. In America, I asked if I could afford to. In the US, hospitals feel like casinos. You walk in sick, and you never know what you'll walk out with, your health or a bill that ruins your year. The irony? Healthcare here isn't built around healing. It's built around billing. Doctors, hospitals, insurance, all orbit one question: who's paying? In Spain or Canada, showing your ID gets you care. In America, you show your credit card. And when half your paycheck disappears into premiums, co-pays, and uncovered costs, you start asking the unthinkable, would I be better off somewhere else? But the story doesn't stop at money or medicine. Because even if you can afford it all, can you afford to feel unsafe in your own home? Safety, the land of the free and the afraid. There are more guns than people in the United States. That's not hyperbole. It's math. In many countries, parents teach their kids to look both ways before crossing the street. In America, they teach them how to hide when they hear gunfire. The 2024 Global Peace Index ranked North America as the region with the steepest decline in safety. And it's not hard to see why. Mass shootings, random violence, fear that lives rent-free in every parent's mind. In Chicago, families teach their children to drop to the floor if they hear gunshots outside. One mother said, "I don't teach my son how to cross the street anymore. I teach him how to stay alive." Meanwhile, families who've moved abroad describe a different reality. In Portugal, a father says, "Here, I can finally let my daughter walk to school alone." Same parenting instinct. Different peace of mind. Safety used to be a given. Now it's a luxury. And when the simple act of feeling safe becomes optional, something's deeply wrong. This is the part few politicians talk about. It's not about left or right. It's about survival. Because once your faith in safety disappears, everything else, money, freedom, opportunity, means nothing. And yet, even if you find a safer place abroad, America still finds a way to follow you. The tax trap: you can leave America, but America never leaves you. Thanks to a law called FATCA, the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, every US citizen must file global taxes no matter where they live. Even if you haven't stepped foot in the US for 20 years, Uncle Sam still wants a cut. You could be sipping coffee in Switzerland, working a local job, paying local taxes, and still owe the IRS. And it gets worse. Foreign banks must report your accounts to the US government. So many just refuse to deal with Americans altogether. A US engineer in Zurich said, "I love America, but I can't love the IRS." He pays $10,000 a year just for an accountant to manage his paperwork. Every year, thousands reach their breaking point and do the unthinkable. They give up their citizenship. In 2024 alone, nearly 5,000 Americans renounced their passports. Not because they hate America, but because they want to live like normal people again. When a passport starts feeling more like a leash than a privilege, you know something's wrong. But here's the twist. People aren't just running away. They're rebuilding. Because for the first time in history, leaving the US doesn't mean leaving your job behind. The digital nomad era. Once, working abroad meant quitting your job, saying goodbye to stability, and starting from scratch. Now, you just need Wi-Fi. Remote work has changed everything. According to the National Bureau of Economic Research, 1 out of every 4 workdays in America is now remote. And over 40 countries have launched digital nomad visas, letting foreigners live abroad while earning money from their home country. This is globalization 2.0. Work in America, live anywhere. A Florida programmer moved to Oaxaca, Mexico. He said, "My rent here is half what I used to pay for health insurance." And he's not alone. Thousands of workers are realizing they don't have to escape America. They can outsmart it. Why pay $3,000 for rent in LA when you can pay $800 for a beach apartment in Lisbon? Why pay $1,500 for health insurance when you can get full coverage abroad for $200? They're keeping their US salaries, but living like kings overseas. And here's the kicker. Many never plan to come back. Because after tasting balance, real balance, going back feels impossible. The American dream didn't die. It moved online. But for some, even that wasn't enough. Because what if you don't just want to live abroad? You want to cut ties completely. The the final goodbye. Imagine standing in a government office, signing a paper that says, "I give up my American citizenship." No politics, no protest, just exhaustion. Every year more people do it. They line up, pay the $200 to $350 renunciation fee, and walk out no longer American. One former citizen from Singapore said, "I didn't renounce because I hate my country. I did it because it never stops following me." Banks refuse to open accounts. Paperwork never ends. Even in death, the IRS still taxes your estate. For many, that's not freedom. That's a lifelong audit. And the truth is, these people aren't rebels. They're doctors, engineers, parents, people who once believed in the system. They wanted to live free, not flee. But the system pushed them to make a choice, identity or independence. It's a modern tragedy when the most successful, educated and loyal citizens are the ones quietly walking away. So what does that say about the rest of us still here? The new American dream, once the dream was simple. A house in the suburbs, 2 kids, a steady job. Now, that dream costs $700,000, a lifetime of debt, and endless anxiety. And for many, it's just not worth it anymore. The new American dream looks different. It's not a house with a white picket fence. It's an apartment in Lisbon with a balcony. It's a cafe in Mexico City where your job fits in a backpack. It's healthcare that doesn't bankrupt you and streets where your kids can play outside. This isn't unpatriotic. It's pragmatic. People aren't leaving because they hate their country. They're leaving because they can't live the way they deserve to. And that should scare us. Because when the middle class gives up, when ordinary people decide they're done, it's not just a statistic, it's a warning. The American dream was built on the promise of opportunity, but opportunity now lives somewhere else. So here's the question you can't ignore. If you could live safer, healthier, and happier abroad while keeping your same income, would you stay? 9 million Americans have already answered. They're not chasing paradise. They're choosing peace. And maybe that's what the American dream has become, not a destination, but a search for dignity. Because when you strip away the slogans, the politics, and the pride, people want the same 3 things: safety, stability, sanity. If America can't offer those anymore, people will find them elsewhere. So the next time someone says, "Love it or leave it," just remember, millions already have. And they didn't leave because they stopped loving America. They left because America stopped loving them back. If this video opened your eyes, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more breakdowns like this. Share your thoughts below. Would you stay and fight for change, or would you build a new life somewhere else? Because one way or another, the dream is moving, and it's not waiting for anyone.